Ronnie! Ronnie, are you home? Oh, hey, there you are. You want to go play? What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong.
What's on your face?
I said it's nothing.
More sweets? Ronnie, that's your second hunk of candy bar this week. You know, good nutrition is a matter of state security. If Father found out, it would be straight to the youth health ministry for you.
But it's just a little chocolate.
It's disgusting and it's dishonorable. Don't you remember your lessons about honor?
To be honorable, you must have courage. To be honorable, you must exercise self-control. All great things in the service of the fatherland are honorable.
How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with your boy, the Savior. Yes, welcome back to the channel, my wonderful wise boys, my OG sinners. Now, if you aren't a wise boy, make sure you do subscribe, join the channel today. It takes 2 seconds, but it means everything to me, and I would just appreciate the hell out of you if you did subscribe. So today, Savior, what do you have for us today? What is your show and tell for us today? Well, I want to discuss Wolfenstein, okay? And specifically, I want to talk about Wolfenstein The New Order, not the second one, although I will touch on that slightly. But pretty much, I also want to discuss the philosophy of Wolfenstein. And I know you might think, that's pretty crazy, Savior. Wolfenstein is simply just a crazy action FPS game with, you killing future, who. I can't say it on YouTube anymore because we live in a time of censorship and it's 2023. That's great, even though I'm literally referring to historic events and, an alternate history of not so historic events. But sadly, I cannot use the words that I wish to use. But you know who I'm talking about. It's an FPS game, a first-person shooter about you destroying goddamn German scum. Let's just say that, okay? And I absolutely love this game. I've only recently actually played it. I did play the second one first, and that was a huge, huge mistake. Because the first game, Wolfenstein, I know it's not the first Wolfenstein, okay? I'm not crazy. But I mean of the kind of rebranded, kind of, I guess you could say, the reimagined Wolfenstein for the new generation. Wolfenstein The New Order is a masterpiece, okay? The Wolfenstein games have always been great at, just good old-fashioned FPS combat, fast-paced, really stick your lips out, good old-fashioned gunplay. I love it for that. But The New Order was just a masterpiece, okay? And I played the second one, which was a shame because the first one is just far superior if you ask me. I might be showing gameplay of the New Colossus, but I am talking mainly about the New Order. It's just because New Colossus is a more kind of pretty looking game, but the New Order is still graphically amazing. It's just the New Colossus took it a step above. But honestly, that game is just far superior. And not only am I going to be giving you Wolfenstein The New Order 2023 review, why you should play Wolfenstein The New Order in 2023, my retrospective of Wolfenstein The New Order. I think it's important to clarify what this video is, but I will also be talking slightly about the philosophy of Wolfenstein and what makes that game so impactful. With the strength of the storm. Absolutely love the genre of alternate history, and one of my all-time favorite shows is The Man in the High Castle, and that's based on a book, and I highly recommend that you give it a read or you watch the show. It's a fantastic show, and the book is also very good, and it's basically what would happen if Germany won the war, and basically their relationship with the Japanese and all that kind of stuff, and how people are, struggling to survive in this new dystopian nightmare of, complete tyranny. And I absolutely love that. Wolfenstein has a slightly different take on that idea, because it's what the world would look like if it was purely owned and run by Germans, after World War II, and basically it's a complete nightmare, and I absolutely love it. Where the second game, New Colossus, basically took this element and made it more of a joke, made it more, fantastical and just like outlandish, with over-the-top humor and silly writing and dialogue. The gameplay was great, don't get me wrong, but the story was terrible, and the characters weren't that interesting. The technology in this world is scary, it's dark, it's disturbing. What the Germans have managed to accomplish is disturbing. How they've twisted history. You will find nice little callbacks like, music albums, but now they, like the Beatles, for example, but now it's all done in German. And the sense of terror and just pure brutality that this world has, there are some lighter touches to keep it from feeling completely dark, because this game is honestly rather disturbing. And to be honest, the sad thing is I don't think this type of game can even be made anymore, and that's what I find so sad. The world building in Wolfenstein The New Order is just what makes this so detailed. It reminds me of older games like the first couple of Metro games, where it feels immersive, there is so much information littered around the world of basically, the alternate history that you're living in, and there are, different newspapers, there's audio logs, there's all this environmental storytelling as well. It's a linear first-person shooter with some stealth sections to break up the gameplay. That's all you really need to know about the gameplay part of it, but the gunplay is just fantastic. It makes you feel like a badass, and unlike the second one, the difficulty, if you play it on hard, is super challenging but fair. It has a super cool lean mechanic where you can poke around corners. That's kind of standard now in a lot of AAA, first-person shooters, but this one did it so well, and it felt so immersive, because not only could you peek right or left, but you can also go up and down, so you can get straight down to the ground and, straight up again if you're looking over cover pretty much instantaneously, and that's not really done nowadays in most games, and it made it feel just far more tactical and realistic and grounded. So the combat was great, the stealth gameplay was also fun to engage with, and the difficulty felt realistic and fair compared to the other game, where it's either too easy or it's just unrealistic and brutally challenging. This got the balance just right. And of course the DLC changed things up and making it more supernatural, so there's not much else to be said about Wolfenstein The New Order and its gameplay. That's pretty much it. There are some secret areas that you can find. Your home of operation feels like a multi-layered dungeon which you will slowly explore, and there are some secret, hidden missions, like when you go to sleep you will actually be transported to play the, first original Wolfenstein, but still within the engine of The New Order, which is just a great callback. Little details like this, we just don't get that in modern day AAA releases now. The passion, the detail and the creativity, the physics as well of, how the enemies would react, and most importantly, the AI in this game is actually smart. They aren't brain-dead idiots like a lot of newer games. They actually flank you, they actually have some level of tactics, they don't just go in a straight line, they actually, figure out where you are, where you're hiding, and they will find a route to you if it's possible, so you actually have to think about your environment as well. So all of that stuff makes it a great first-person shooter, and the shooting itself is just satisfying. But the reason why I think Wolfenstein The New Order is a masterpiece, and why I'm doing this Wolfenstein The New Order retrospective, is because of the world building. And I love that take on alternate history, just seeing where we can go wrong and what things would look like if past scenarios would play out differently, because we all know about infinite multi-universes now. It's pretty common. String theory kind of explains it, how, particles can basically exist in two states of being, basically if it's being observed or not, which is pretty insane. So reality itself, has many layers to it, and basically, we are just living one timeline, one tiny perception of reality, but just doing a small thing differently can have massive changes for the future. And I just love seeing that played out in media and entertainment, and I think this world is so well realized, perhaps even better than The Man in the High Castle. It's detailed callbacks to what actually took place in history and then changing it to fit this narrative. I find that fascinating, and the writing, the characters all make it feel grounded and just far more engaging compared to the New Colossus or any other Wolfenstein game, if you ask me. The characters feel fleshed out, it's dark, it's very tonally dark. You will visit, some disgusting, disturbing places like concentration camps. All of these different levels feel unique and they never feel the same, which is great. They are all based around certain locations that you would never actually want to visit in real life, but you feel this immense sense of, payback. It feels justified in this world because seeing how they treat citizens, seeing how the Germans treated, people of different races and people of disabilities, things that they actually did in real life history, and then making it even more twisted, basically seeing what would happen if they actually had power over the whole world, is just such a disturbing idea. So it makes the combat feel earned, and it makes the characters feel far more vulnerable and just relatable, and that's what I love about it. And I think what it comes down to is I can really relate to the philosophy of Wolfenstein The New Order and what it's trying to preach. There's even actual callbacks to it in the gameplay itself. There is a level where you go into a concentration camp and you rescue a doctor. Now, Viktor Frankl was a concentration camp survivor, and you might know who he is. He's a philosopher, he's a psychologist, and he basically published one of the most profound and amazing books of all time, Man's Search for Meaning. And I just love his philosophy of, finding meaning even within the most darkest of situations. He, got shipped around to several camps. His whole family pretty much got eradicated. He went through absolute hell, and he could see how the people who died, the people who became sick, they gave up on life. They turned, inwards into nihilism, and just all hope was lost. But breaking your life down into small vertical slices and finding meaning within even the smallest things, can give your life a purpose and can actually even be not exactly fun or rewarding, but can even be fulfilling, even in the most darkest situations. And I know that might not feel like it comes across in this game because it's just a game about shooting people at the end of the day, but to me, the struggle of the characters living in this oppressed world, the writing, all of that kind of stuff in the first game, not the second one, which I'm showing on screen, I feel it just does such a good job of conveying that, they are all broken people. They are literally living like rats under the sewers. They still form relationships. They still care enough to keep fighting and, keep living. They still find joy even in the smallest moments because the fight is what gives them meaning. And even though, fighting isn't exactly the philosophy of Viktor Frankl, it's more about finding meaning. For example, you might have a strong opinion about something a few weeks ago, but then at present or in the future, your opinion might completely change. We are constantly evolving and changing our perception of reality and our meanings, and we all have different perceptions of what we find meaningful and worth pursuing, but breaking down, each situation, finding gratitude in life itself and the meaning of existence, of the human suffering, finding meaning within suffering, it kind of goes back to Buddhism, and I feel those strong themes of Viktor Frankl is very tightly interlinked with this game, even if it's not stated, just with how the characters act in the first game and how it's written. I'm just going to leave you with a quote from Viktor Frankl. One must have a reason to be happy. Once the reason is found, however, one becomes happy automatically. As we see, a human being is not in pursuit of happiness, but rather in search of a reason to become happy. And in Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, he breaks down the three kind of aspects of finding meaning. and that is number 1, by creating a work or doing a deed, number 2, by experiencing something or encountering someone, someone close to you, the human connection, or something just being memorized in the beauty of the world around you, finding that stroke of inspiration. That is, the meaning of life. That is connection with the grand universe and the grand narrative. And number 3, by the attitude we take toward... And number 3, and this is very stoic as well, by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering and embracing meaning within the suffering. And that's exactly what he did in these camps, is, breaking down his thinking and, thought patterns and his way of looking at, what can he do now. He took meaning in helping people in the camp. He took meaning in seeing people around him, give up their last scraps of food to help others, even though all kinds of disgusting things were going on, even though people were selling each other out left, right, and center, like with the capos and all of that kind of stuff. It was a very dark time in history, but even he could survive that torture because he broke down his perspective on life and found that if you have meaning and found that if you have strong enough meaning in life and you give value to that meaning, you decide what is meaningful based on the time and space of your current situation. That is how you overcome all of this darkness. And even though Wolfenstein is, at the end of the day, just a first-person shooter, I do feel that games sometimes struggle to have the same captivating messaging that a book or a novel or a movie or TV show can have, but I feel that this game blends perfectly the cinematic storytelling and writing, the great quality writing with the characters, how they deal with the struggle and the darkness, the meaning of their fight in this dystopian, tyrannical world, with great quality gameplay, and it takes itself seriously, but not to an extent where it's just completely depressing. Unlike the second game, which just feels like a complete joke, if you ask me. This was a fine balance, and I don't think we can get anything like that anymore, so I urge you to go back and play Wolfenstein The New Order. That is my Wolfenstein The New Order 2023 review. I hope you didn't find it too jarring, me discussing the philosophy of Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein philosophy mixed with Viktor Frankl. I know it is a video game, but I do feel that interactive experiences can have a very profound effect on people, especially if the story and writing is done well enough, and I feel this game did a good job of, taking that theme of Viktor Frankl and his philosophy and tying it in with the narrative and gameplay, and there's even callbacks to him in the game, which I find fascinating. I do love this topic, and I might do a separate full philosophical video based around alternate history and entertainment, and I just thought this was a great excuse for me to discuss why you need to play Wolfenstein The New Order and give you this Wolfenstein The New Order 2023 review and tie it in with those themes, which I find absolutely fascinating. Please let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you do subscribe, check out my music on Spotify to support me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.